Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Emily Carmen. Thank you for joining us. Maricopa County officials have refused to turn over routers sought by two top Republicans in the Arizona Senate. The subpoenas are the latest related to the contentious 2020 election audit of Maricopa County ballots. The subpoenas were issued July 26 by Senate President Karen Fann and Judiciary Committee Chairman Warren Peterson. They demanded that representatives for the County Board of Supervisors and Dominion voting systems produce the materials by yesterday afternoon. The subpoenas sought the network routers and traffic logs, envelopes from all mail-in ballots or images of them, certain voter registration records with change histories, and records of alleged security breaches. An unfortunate milestone for Arizona, there were more traffic deaths on Arizona roadways in 2020 than in the last 12 years. According to ADOT's Arizona Motor Vehicle Crash Report, 1,057 people lost their lives in car crashes last year, despite nearly 5 billion fewer miles being driven. So why are more people dying on AZ roads with so many fewer miles being driven? Public safety advocate attorney Mark Lamber says more needs to be done to highlight safety measures pedestrians and drivers can take to keep us safer. Weather officials say an active monsoon season around northern Arizona in July brought several monthly rainfall records. Meteorologists with the National Weather Service in Flagstaff say Show Low had 8.79 inches of rain last month. Payson had 6.98 inches of rain, and St. John's had 4 inches of rain. Other cities in northern Arizona, such as Page and Window Rock, also had above-average rainfall last month. The monsoon season has brought not only heavy rains to Arizona, but also more insects. Water on the ground drives bugs like mosquitoes, ants, and termites out of their homes and into ours. I spoke with pest control experts on how to manage these unwelcome guests. This year's monsoon season has brought heavy rainfall and flooding to Arizona, and more water on the ground means more insects in the air. Puddles of water and warm temperatures provide the perfect breeding environment for mosquitoes.
Mosquito has to have water to go through its life cycle. So whenever you have big rain events, you have lots of puddles of water. You'll go from having 0 mosquitoes to having thousands and thousands of mosquitoes in just a few days.
And mosquitoes aren't the only pests to worry about. Many other bugs seek shelter indoors when their homes in the ground are flooded with water.
Ants, roaches, centipedes, mosquitoes, termites, anything that is going to be impacted by that water is making its way outside right now.
Insect infestations can cost thousands of dollars in damage, and mosquitoes can be a dangerous carrier of disease.
Mosquitoes carry West Nile virus, and that's the big concern. And we've had some customers who have had West Nile virus, and it's a horrible thing to get.
Maricopa County monitors mosquito populations and fogs with repellent in areas where tests show disease-carrying mosquitoes. Some things you can do to avoid mosquitoes include wearing repellent, especially at night, putting screens on your doors and windows, and eliminating any big pools of water on your property. In regards to other insects,
doing your research and knowing what kind of pests that you're dealing with and how they affect your home, that's going to be really critical in managing the problem and getting it under control.
To learn more about mosquitoes in Maricopa County, visit fightthebitemaricopa.org. Or if you're dealing with an infestation, many local pest control agencies offer free evaluations. Camelback and Piestewa Peak trails are closed today and tomorrow due to extreme heat. It's part of a new pilot program started by the city of Phoenix. They will be closed from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. The city closed the trails after the National Weather Service issued excessive heat warnings for both of these days. Temperatures could possibly reach 113 degrees. This is the first time the trails will be closed under the pilot program. The program was launched in an effort to reduce injuries both of citizens and first responders. Another Arizona school district has approved a mandatory mask rule. It's an effort to try to curb the spread of COVID-19 despite a recently enacted state law barring school districts from requiring masks. Phoenix Elementary's governing board approved a requirement Monday night that included limited opt-out for medical reasons. It's not clear whether the state's prohibition against masking mandates by school districts is now in force. The prohibition was included in budget legislation that doesn't take effect until September 29th, though there's a provision saying the prohibition is retroactive. Phoenix Union High School District also approved a mask requirement last week. Chris Paul has decided to stay with the Phoenix Suns, reaching a new contract agreement with the team yesterday. Over the weekend, Paul became a free agent after turning down his $44 million playing option. Now he has signed a 4-year contract with the Suns worth upwards of $120 million. The 36-year-old point guard proved his worth this season by leading the team to an NBA final appearance. And now a look back at some of our stories involving animals and those that care for them.
The task of trimming and shoeing a horse is the profession of a farrier. Faith Abercrombie went to Tucson to learn more about the male-dominated profession and the females behind it.
According to the American Farriers Journal, only about 6% of full-time farriers are female. I spoke with the Tucson School of Horseshoeing and found out what they're doing to improve this number. Trimming and horseshoeing is a tedious task. A task that owners Brody and Darius Kruger train and certify students to do. But they also teach their students to fight the stigma that only males can be farriers.
When they're in this industry, they push. They push really, really hard because, one, they have to beat the stigma about women not being able to do these jobs.
Working with horses requires strength, patience,
easy carrot,
and a bond.
Women are generally more attention to detail and meticulous, and that's what we need in this profession.
The job of a farrier means a day in the office is spent bent over next to a 1,000-pound animal.
Your toes are pointed, your knees are bent, you try to keep your back straight. 90% of the time it just doesn't happen. End of the day, it gets tiring.
Students in farrier school could spend up to all day shoeing just one horse. They are working up to do the job a graduated farrier can complete in as little as 45 minutes.
You're not just going in and slapping shoes on a horse. You have to understand their body language. You have to understand that you have to make them comfortable to make you comfortable. It's truly a beautiful dance.
A dance that takes two to tango.
I figure if I need my horse to be calm and gentle for me to work on their feet, then I need to present that to the horse.
The physical change and mood shift in horses motivates them to be two of the less than 3,000 female farriers in the country.
There you go.
I give him a good trim or a good shoe job, and he walks away with less of a limp. It's awesome.
I shoe all of my own, and it's like, you know what? If I don't like it, I'll change it. That simple.
The Tucson School of Horseshoeing said that over the years, they have began to see more and more female students train in their farrier courses. In the studio, I'm Faith Abercrombie.
If you visited Moctezuma's well at Montezuma Castle National Monument lately, you have noticed part of the site is currently closed to visitors. As Rob Winder explains, there's a very good reason for that.
During a visit back to the state, former Arizona resident Rita Rieger is making a point to visit one of her favorite places.
So this is one of my kind of go-to sites to reset a little bit when things get crazy. So I always come back here. I've been here many times and it's beautiful.
But Montezuma's well offers more than just beautiful scenery.
We have really incredible geology and hydrology. So we have the well itself and has a lot of water and endemic species that are only located here. We also have thousands of years of human history that are represented in the archaeological record.
Some of that history can be found in Swallet Cave, where the water from the well flows out through an underground stream called a swallet. Currently, visitors are not allowed to see the cave because it also serves as a roosting site for the Townsend's big-eared bat.
Swallet Cave is just a short walk from here. Down behind those trees and shrubbery you can see behind me. Now, the interior of the cave is off limits to visitors all year long, but during the bat's roosting season, the presence of people even near the mouth of the cave can cause problems.
According to bat expert Rick Sherwin, unlike many bat species, the Townsend's big-eared bats do not roost in the crevices of a cave wall, but in places in the cave where they're likely to be visible. And for the mother bats, regulating the temperature of their roosts is a full-time job that keeps them awake for long hours.
In other times of year, they may be hibernating or they may be in torpor, and you could go past them and they'd never know. But in this case, they're fully aware of any entry or any disturbance. And so they tend to be very flighty. And sometimes they'll fly with their pups, sometimes they won't.
Any movement could hurt the baby bats. Rieger says preventing that is worth the disappointment of not seeing the cave this time.
There's plenty of other things to enjoy here.
From Montezuma's Well, Rob Winder, Cronkite News.
We're in the triple-digit temperatures across Arizona, and the drought has engulfed most of the state. Tina Giuliano has the details about how this impacts the iconic saguaro.
During this time of year, there's one thing Arizonans can all agree on. It's a dry heat. The dry summer from last year and a weak winter have led Arizona to be in an extreme to exceptional drought, according to the National Weather Service.
Drought conditions that we're seeing are some of the worst we've seen across the state. So over 50% of the state is in the worst drought category, which we call D4 or exceptional drought.
Exceptional drought, or D4, is the worst category of drought, where most of Arizona, including parts of the Phoenix metro area, sits.
So 86% of the state is in extreme or exceptional drought.
According to the Drought Monitor, exceptional drought impacts include an increase in fires, dry bodies of water, and deaths of native plants. But there's an iconic Arizona plant normally equipped to withstand drought and heat that is showing signs of drought stress.
We can visually see the effect of the drought on saguaro when they are visually more shrunken.
The saguaro cactuses, particularly those in southern Arizona, have been displaying a behavior that scientists haven't seen before: flowers blooming on the stems and arms.
It's a really intriguing, mysterious phenomenon.
One thing that saguaro cactuses can all agree on is that the flowers grow at the top. But this year, people are seeing that they're growing on the stems and the arms, like what's happening to the saguaro behind me.
McHugh said although they don't know exactly, one theory is that when plants become very stressed out, they will push all their last bits of energy they have left into flowers.
Is that what's happening? Are the saguaros so stressed that they're doing this last possible push? We can't say.
As the drought continues and each year becomes hotter, McHugh said scientists believe the weather is stressing out the plants.
Is that shift in the weather due to climate change? We believe that it is.
While the blooms continue to fill the sides of the saguaros, scientists, meteorologists, and plant lovers alike hope rain is on the way. In Phoenix, Tina Giuliano, Cronkite News.
Arizona's current drought isn't just hard on human residents of the state. Rob Winder reports on the drought's effects on rattlesnakes and your chances of being bitten by one.
If you find an unwelcome guest of the long, scaly, and limbless variety in your yard, Joe Himes of the Phoenix Herpetological Sanctuary can help.
We get about 300 calls every year from all over the valley asking us to come out and remove those rattlesnakes.
In this unusually dry year, Himes says rattlesnakes have been especially prevalent in places where they might be able to get a drink.
Yesterday I went out to a school that has only been closed about 5 days, and there was a rattlesnake sipping up water from a faucet that was leaking out in the playground.
But the popular notion that we will see more snake bites because of the drought is a myth. That's according to a 2018 Stanford medicine study, which found that snakebite incidents in California were actually lower during periods of drought there. ASU Life Science professor Dale Donardo says that's because snakes don't move around as much during these dry periods.
They're ectotherms, they don't produce their own heat, they get heat from the environment. They have very low energy costs, so they can basically stay down in a burrow and say, hey, I'm going to wait till it rains. I have enough energy to survive. If I go to the surface to look for food or try and hunt food, I may dehydrate in that process, whether I find food or not.
Summer is not peak snakebite season in Arizona anyway. But there are certain times of the day when you still need to be careful.
They're out when it's cool out. And so during the summers, when it's really hot during the day, when we hit 105 or higher, you're less likely to see snakes out and about in the morning, but you will see them out and about at night when it cools off.
But regardless of rainfall levels or the time of day, There's one thing about rattlesnake behavior that doesn't change.
Just remember that rattlesnakes don't want to hurt you.
In Scottsdale, Rob Winder, Cronkite News.
Himes says if you do encounter a rattlesnake in your yard, keep a safe distance, which is at least 3 feet away, and call a professional for removal. If you happen to get bit, the Arizona Poison and Drug Information Center says do not apply a tourniquet or ice to the bite. Do not suck out the venom or cut around the bite, and do go to a hospital immediately.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. Next, on Break It Down, how telenovelas are influencing TV shows in the United States. That's coming up after the break. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.